at this game. And of course, there's Apollo and Tasteless, and we kind of get this little nerd house where everyone meets up for the English speakers over here as well. But yeah, it's pretty exciting. They're really beginning to push their skills very, very far. And for anyone who has access to multiple beta servers, they can probably tell you that the Asian server already is leaps and bounds above the European and American ones.
Now, before, the Koreans had the excuse that they had the better internet in 1998. That got them ahead in Starcraft faster. Why would you say that this is happening in Asia again?
What do you mean, the living together, or
just the players being like I'm ahead above everybody else almost?
Yeah. Well, it's a couple things. Seoul is a very, very compact city, so you have this huge pool of people. It's the third most densely populated city in the world, to give you some perspective. So you have all these people, and even if only 0.01% are going to play StarCraft or StarCraft 2. That's so many people in this small area, and they can meet up, they can talk about it, they can watch each other play, critique play. And on top of that all, Koreans have like the most work ethic. They work the most hours, they work the hardest. These are all proven statistics, so that's really why. It's not like they got better genes or something. It's a really hard-working culture, and they all live close together, so this just turns them into, these machines that just get insanely good at these RTS games and any video game, really. Koreans are the best at almost every esport at this point.
I'm kind of curious. I know that there's a market force reason, but I noticed that Korea and China do really, really well in esports, and yet Japan, considered like the computer video game robot capital of the universe, doesn't seem to have a name.
Yeah. I actually know the answer to this. I heard this just recently, actually, which really surprised me. Apparently, video game tournaments are considered gambling in Japan, so they actually cannot run them for money. So wow. There you go. You have no pro gamers because you can't make a living off it over there.
Now, if Japan got into esports, then you got something to be worried about.
Yeah, man. Japan is one of the hardest working countries in the world as well, I read. So, they would be right up there with Korea and China, I'm sure. But, at this point, they're some years apart. I know that they have great fighting game players, but I've never heard of good players in any other game. So, if they could actually hold tournaments, I don't see why not. They'd probably have pro gaming, but maybe more console-based because it's such a console country.
Yeah, I took an entertainment business class, and when we covered video games, they basically said that Japan is just this huge console gaming country, and PC gaming didn't take off as much. And I can't remember what country it was, but they took off completely with cell phone gaming.
Really?
I think it's like either Malaysia or like Thailand or something like that.
That's wild.
But they really get into those cell phone games.
That's really weird, man. That must be boring.
Okay, so yeah, we talked a little bit about we already talked about Asia. Okay, so one last thing to talk about with Korea is, do you have any hints what this surprise is that's coming out on the 24th of June?
No, I don't know anything about that. I actually just read about that like 2 days ago. I'm going to start investigating this week and try to figure it out before it's out. But I don't have any idea. I'm really excited about it, and I'm thinking about maybe even going down and being there for when it happens. So, I don't know. We'll see.
Who published it?
Well, there's like countdowns on Korean sites apparently. So I think it's supposed to be public that something is going to happen. But I don't know anyone who knows what's going to happen yet.
Oh man, that's one of the things that was interesting that I wanted to find out about. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about StarCraft 2, a game that you have been known to delve into occasionally. Is that the new ferret?
Yeah, a little bit. That is it.
For the people at home, Artosis got a ferret today, so...
Yeah.
Alright, so let's talk about this patch that came out very shortly before the end of the beta. There wasn't a whole lot of testing done on it, but there was some interesting patch changes that people have been talking back and forth about, but overall it seems that it was a pretty positive patch. This is patch 15, the one with the...
Yeah.
You got any comments?
I think that it's a good patch. It doesn't fix what really needs fixing, which is mech. Terran mech right now is actually unbeatable for Zerg if Terran does it right. So yeah, it's a good step in the right direction, though. I'm liking Ultralisks more and more. I'm actually messing around with them against Protoss right now. I can't ever see using them against Terran or Zerg, but against Protoss, I'm using them a little bit, so that's good. Definitely, the mech units need to be nerfed. I don't think the nerfs are good enough at all. Probably not even the right direction with them. I don't think lesser damage. I think you need to maybe take out some of the easy buttons with them. But, you know, it's definitely a step in the right direction. I like the fact that Archons are going to be a little bit better, a little bit more useful. I've heard that Koreans are using them a little bit more. So I do like the patch. It's the first good patch in quite a while, I think. But definitely not enough for mech yet.
On the Archon thing, really? What are they using Archons for?
I'm not exactly sure. Just like a support unit in their army. That's like one of the ways they're using up gas right now. But no, that's what I've heard. I just said that he heard this, and that's kind of... I have my second person heard it. That they're using like Colossus Archon something like as this weird unit mix right now. But you know, it can kill a lot of Zerglings, I guess. I don't know.
Well, I thought like one of the advantages of Archons, they can just take a beating. Pretty much. Yeah,
that's true. I mean, they have a lot of hit points. They can definitely tank a bit. They can definitely do a decent amount of damage. I mean, they aren't as good as StarCraft 1 Archons. But, I don't know, man. I guess we'll just have to see when the beta opens back up and there's some more tournaments. I'm sure that we're going to see a little bit more Archon usage.
Okay. I was actually really curious about this whole evolution that we've been hearing about, like that, how the segregated servers are sort of causing different styles to evolve on different servers. Have you, since you've pretty much played on all three, at least I know you have a US account and an Asia account, how have you been?
Yeah.
How have you been feeling this difference in playstyles that's been sort of evolving?
Oh yeah, it's completely different. It's been different since week one. I was on the Korean server like a week after the beta came out, and I had already had the US, and I've actually got a European account, although I lagged too much to play over there. It's really different. The Korean server, it's a very, very skill-based server overall. It's a lot of macro, a lot of good expansion, good micro, just solid play. You know, it's like playing Koreans on Icy Cup. It's just, wow, these guys are solid. They're all playing a good, solid breed of this game. It's like really great practice. And of course, there's cheesers mixed in. But overall, it's really good. On US, it's more cheesers and people with their own private strategy that, like, you know, it wins them 60% of their ladder games, so they just do it all the time, and it's really quite a difference. You know, there's a lot more strong players, I think, on the Asian server overall, and these other servers I don't think are evolving quite right. But you know, a lot of people were talking smack on the US server saying Europe was better, but we've seen through all the different show matches and everything that is not the case. Europe and USA seem to be very similarly skilled servers overall, but Asia definitely, I think it's evolved in a better way. They don't do everything right. There's definitely some things over on the other servers. I can't think of exactly what they are right now, but there's some things over there that are a little bit better. For instance, on the Western servers, people are using pure mech a little bit more, while biomech is being used on Asia when mech is actually a little bit better. But you know, it's definitely evolving a little bit different in those ways.
And I guess the only way to really combat that at all is things like replay sites and these cross-server tournaments and all that stuff. Have you? How do you feel about like sort of these Western pro gamers then that have come out, like, you know, the Enigma TLO in Europe and White Rod becoming a beast all over again, and then all these Warcraft 3 players like DeMuslim and Hesuobs, and even the American players like, you know, In Control and Machine and all them?
Well, you know, I think that the StarCraft guys are all really good. I think DeMuslim's actually really good. The other War 3 players, I'm not really impressed with overall, to be honest. Some of them made a few splashes in the pan, but it looks like StarCraft players have pretty much taken over, aside from DeMuslim and Kiwikaki. And of course, I'm sure I'm missing a few here and there. You know, of course, there are some really talented War 3 gamers as well, but you know, for the most part, and I think this is what people expected, the StarCraft players are starting to come out as more and more macros being used. As for the people popping up, like White Raw, for instance, he was a complete beast in StarCraft 1. Of course, he's a beast in StarCraft 2 as well. Same with Damaga. Damaga was like the second best player in Europe in StarCraft 1, and here he is in StarCraft 2 doing great. And yeah, StarCraft players overall are doing really great. TLO, I think he got a lot of fame early on for doing really ridiculously weird builds and cheesing a lot. But he's tightening up a little bit now, so I mean he might stick around a little bit. It's hard to say though. It's really young in, and we haven't had any really legit tournaments. Like, you know, there was like HDH and some other tournaments that were, I mean, they were good and whatnot, but they spanned such a long time, so many patches, so many changes. It's really hard to get an accurate fix on who's good, who's not. I think we're going to have to wait till the game is released, the patches slow down a little bit, and we have some really important LAN tournaments where no one's lagging.